back to a story we brought you updates in earlier with a big update coming in regarding casualties. Remember earlier we told you about a Japan Airlines plane that had caught fire at the Tokyo airport. We're learning that 4 Coast Guard members have been killed in the incident. Remember, there was a Coast Guard plane, a smaller Coast Guard plane that crashed into a larger plane. Now it's the larger plane that had 379 passengers. They were evacuated in safety, but now we're learning the smaller plane that was involved in that collision, the Coast Guard plane, 4 people at least in that plane have lost their lives. Now this is the most recent update we have. Remember, there were 6 crew members on the Coast Guard aircraft that were unaccounted for. We know the captain escaped, but it's the others that question was being raised on. This is a larger plane, a Japan Airlines plane that escaped a devastating fire when it collided with a smaller Coast Guard aircraft at Tokyo's Haneda airport. Now, my colleague Abhishek with us. Abhishek, we just asked you this question a few minutes ago. What happened to the crew members that were aboard the Coast Guard? I believe you told us there were 6 crew members in total and we were accounting for them. Do correct me on that number. I am also sure I think the captain had already escaped. What details can you bring us?
Well, unfortunately, 4 people of that unfortunate plane, that Coast Guard plane of Japan, they are reported to having been killed in this incident. We could easily see the plane, the smaller plane, had collided with this massive plane A350, which was carrying about 367 persons on board. And that collided with a smaller Coast Guard plane. And since then, the search operation was on to find out the remaining people from that Coast Guard plane. About 6 people were on board. Captain was rescued. But now we are learning that 4 of them, they have died. So this is, now so far there was no casualty figure. The officials were telling us that all the passengers on board A350, they were rescued safely. They're all being treated. And they also said that there is no major injuries to any passenger. But the Coast Guard plane, that was, and the passengers of that plane were not accounted for. And now 4 of them are being declared dead in this unfortunate tragedy.
Abhishek, though, can you confirm for us the total was 6?
Yes, it looks like the initial report suggests that 6 people were on board, and the plane that collided with the flight JL516 that was flying from Sapporo to Tokyo, all 4 of them have died. The captain has been rescued. I think they are still looking for one more person who was on board.
Okay, and too early to ask if we have any details on whether there was a black box on board the smaller aircraft.
I think since the plane they were very much on the runway, so it will not be very difficult for the officials to find out the black box. In fact, the black box of the larger plane will also be easily saved because they can't sustain this high temperature fire or any accident also. So the black box will be rescued, and then probably more details will come out as to how these 2 planes were the same runway, almost colliding at the same time. Maybe if they remain for a few seconds delay, they would have averted colliding with each other, but that didn't happen, of course. And the black box may detail as to what the action or the reactions of the pilots were, who were giving them command, how they were talking to ATC or any ground operating staff, and what all went wrong, that the coordinates were so skewed that these 2 planes collided, killing 4 people on board that the Coast Guard plane.
Okay, thank you for bringing us that context. Let's move